Multiple attacks against the United States. Details in this video. We have a US warship that was attacked. We have a US water supply that was attacked here in the United States. We have US senators calling for retaliation against Iran. Will this lead to a larger step up towards World War III? I'll give you the details of all of it here in this video, and I'll show it to you here directly what the senators are saying. Wow, it's really escalating here. You can let me know your thoughts here in this video. Let's jump right in. Yeah. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new video updates. And thank you for liking these videos. Take a look at what is happening here right now. Okay, first, a U.S. warship has been targeted with missiles shot directly at it. We have multiple U.S. warships and actually aircraft carriers in the Middle East. Now they're being shot at. This comes as we've had U.S. military bases attacked like 70 times here in the Middle East, with dozens of Americans injured. One U.S. military contractor has died in the Middle East, and they're not stopping attacking U.S. Military personnel there. Take a listen here.
Another alert now. Houthi rebels firing upon the USS Mason after that ship responded to a distress call from an Israeli-linked ship following what the Pentagon says was likely an attack by Somali pirates. That makes at least 73 attacks on U.S. forces since October 17th. Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper will be joining us on whether the U.S. needs to take stronger action against these Iranian proxies. But first, Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin is live reporting at the Pentagon for us at this hour. Jennifer, what exactly do we know happened here?
Well, Sandra, we broke the story last night that after rescuing the Israeli tanker from 5 armed hijackers, the USS Mason tracked 2 ballistic missiles fired toward the U.S. Navy destroyer by Houthi forces in Yemen. Both missiles fell short, splashing down 10 nautical miles from the Mason into the Gulf of Aden. This is viewed as a significant escalation in Houthi threats to U.S. Navy vessels, according to multiple U.S. Navy sources. In 2016, the same Navy warship, the USS Mason, found itself in a similar situation off the coast of Yemen and took the unusual step of firing an SM-2 missile to defend itself and the USS Ponce against Houthi cruise missiles. That was the first time SM-2 missile defense was used by a warship in combat. On Sunday, Navy personnel on board the USS Mason responded to a distress call from an Israeli tanker named Central Park. 5 armed gunmen seized the tanker after boarding from a skiff by pulling up alongside the tanker, which I'm told had a low freeboard, which gave the hijackers easy access. Initial indications show the 5 individuals were Somali pirates, but it's not clear who sent them. The crew had locked themselves in the Citadel's safe room. The gunmen tried to beat down the door to the safe room and then exited the ship and were making their way back to the shores of Yemen when the U.S. Navy personnel pursued and arrested them. Warning shots were fired by the U.S. Navy personnel, and a U.S. helicopter gunship flew cover. The hijackers are now being held on the USS Mason, being questioned by the U.S. military under counter-piracy authorities. A Japanese Navy destroyer also assisted the USS Mason with the interdiction. 3 Chinese Navy warships, however, were in the area but did not render assistance to the 59 distress calls from the Central Park. New questions are being raised as to why the U.S. has not responded to the escalating threats from the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen. This latest incident, Sandra, with 2 ballistic missiles fired, is considered a serious escalation.
Yeah, so even though we're supposed to be having a ceasefire and trying to be getting hostages out and trying to de-escalate the war here, the U.S. is still being fired upon, and U.S. military bases are still being fired upon. And you can see here that, they're not stopping here. And it makes you wonder, is Hamas just buying time with hostage releases? This also goes for the fact with the Houthis and Hezbollah and the overall mission with their larger war here. Also here, Iran-backed cyber group hacked into a municipal water authority in Elquippa, Pennsylvania. They're hacking into the United States, and this isn't the first time we've had something like this happen. We've had Russia do this, we've had China do this, now Iran do this. Take a look at this. In Elquippa, Pennsylvania, the Municipal Water Authority of Elquippa said that one of their booster stations had been hacked by an Iranian-backed cyber group. Matthew Motz, the chairman of the board of directors for the Municipal Water Authority of Elquippa, confirmed to KDKA TV that the cyber group, known as Cyber Avengers, took control of one of their stations. An alarm went off as soon as the hack occurred. With a picture of this on one of their monitors, you can see the picture here saying, "You have been hacked. Down with Israel. Every equipment, quote, made in Israel is Cyber Avengers legal target." Yeah. Who knows if this is even made in Israel? But the bigger concern here is that we've seen multiple hacks from Russia, from China over the years, and I'll just bring up some here. Take a look at some of these. Russian-speaking hackers claim responsibility for knocking United States websites offline. Pro-Russian hackers claim responsibility for knocking United States airports offline. Scope of Russian hackers become clear. Multiple U.S. agencies were hit. The Pentagon, intelligence agencies, nuclear labs, Fortune 500 companies using softwares found to have been compromised by Russian hackers. The sweep of stolen data still being assessed. And remember, Russia and Iran are allies. They're actually supplying each other in both wars. And China doing the same, hacking the United States dozens of times. Just take a Google search and you'll find dozens of articles. Makes you wonder here, who's the enemy and who they're targeting. It almost doesn't even make you wonder. We know who they're targeting, the United States. Just think that through. Here is what Senator Tom Cotton proposes: a massive retaliation for these attacks. Take a listen here.
That kind of fear of President Biden from Hamas or Iran or frankly anyone around the world.
But you talk about our assets in the region. We talk about our troops in uniform in the region. How worried are you about that expanding into something broader that we get drawn into? Because I don't think the American people have a taste for that.
Well, unfortunately, Shannon, it's already expanded. Since Joe Biden took office, Iran has attacked American positions in the Middle East, I think now over 150 times. And just in the last month, it's over 70 times. We've only hit back a few times. When we do hit back, it's almost always at empty proxy warehouses or maybe proxy forces in Iraq and Syria. It seems like the president wants to go out of his way to avoid Iranian casualties.
But what targets would you suggest?
I would target Iranians who are operating in Iraq and in Syria. I would also send a clear message to Iran: if these attacks don't stop immediately, then we'll begin to threaten their assets, like Ronald Reagan when he sank half of Iran's Navy for attacking a U.S. Navy ship. Look, the president keeps talking about fear of escalation. Mm-hmm. Fear of escalation ensures escalation. The way to stop it is to establish escalation dominance over a terror-supporting regime like Iran. You know, Sean Connery's character, Jim Malone in The Untouchables, said to Kevin Costner's character, Elliot Ness, about how to handle the Chicago mob: if they send one of yours to the hospital, you send one of theirs to the morgue. That's not just the Chicago way. That's the way of the Middle East. And President Biden doesn't appear to understand that.
But do we get drawn into something akin to World War III? Is that what Hamas wanted all along? I mean, clearly they didn't want Israel to achieve some of these peace talks that they were having, that the U.S. was involved in as well. But to, get militarily involved, kinetically involved with their landmass is a different situation. That's another level.
No, Shannon, like what Ronald Reagan did when he sank half of Iran's navy, it didn't lead to an open, outright war. In fact, it ended the Iran-Iraq war, which had been waging for more than 8 years because Iran was so scared of Ronald Reagan. After Donald Trump directed the killing of Qasem Soleimani in Iraq, Iran's terrorist mastermind, Iran pulled in its horns for the rest of the Trump era. The way to stop these attacks is not to be fearful and hesitant and cautious in a response, but massive retaliation to make it clear we will not tolerate these attacks on Americans. Otherwise, I fear we're going to see a mass casualty attack against American forces in the region.
I hate to say it, but I agree with the senator there. And if you guys know me, you've been watching me for a while, I'm not on either side, but the U.S. has been attacked over 70 times in just a little bit over a month now, 150 times in the period that he mentioned there. They're not afraid of us at this point. They keep doing it over and over and over and over. We need to send a message that, and you heard the reference to Ronald Reagan multiple times there, they're not afraid of us. We need to send a message that you can't keep doing this. I know that the vast majority of Americans are against war. They don't want war. We see the pro-Palestinian marches because most people don't understand that, Hamas attacked first and they just don't get it. But we can't keep having them attack the U.S. It's just ridiculous. We have to send a message that you got to stop attacking us or else we're going to bring the hammer down. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because clearly they don't fear us and they're just going to keep attacking us. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep you up to date. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos that come out here every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't yet, watch my video here about the spreading potential pandemic that is going on in China right now, affecting tens of thousands of people that the World Health Organization says is a potential massive problem. Click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.